Always put your own happiness first and don't you dare lose yourself again. What does losing yourself look like? This is as much a note for my future self as it is to share here. Saying no, pausing on your own needs, dreams, hopes and desires and waiting for him to be ready. Losing contact with your social network. Playing down your strengths, wins as to not hurt his ego. Putting yourself down. Making excuses for his behavior and thinking you need to change because otherwise he won't love you. Thank God for therapy helping me see with less foggy glasses. And I should say thank you for this comment cause it feels like it is exactly about me. Just because you love someone doesn't mean you have to be in a relationship with them, and it doesn't mean you were meant to be with them forever. I just broke it off Monday. It's all still so fresh and this made me cry. No matter how much you have in common, if you're constantly left feeling hurt or confused, he ain't it. Accurate hard pill to swallow though. Respect, trust, honesty and good communication are the fundamentals for a good relationship. My last relationship had none of this, on his part. I won't be putting up with it again. Same here. He pretended like he was the perfect man for me, but as time went by he began to reveal his true self. I have no clue why I put up with him for 3 years. Learning how to see the signs of abuse, emotional abuse, gaslighting, manipulation, etc., and how it could eventually lead to physical abuse. I learned a lot from it, and now I easily distinguish narcissistic tendencies as well. I feel like I can identify these things, especially with going to therapy. The only problem I have is now I feel uncomfortable with a lot of my friends' relationships because their partners are nothing but red flags. It's not my place to say anything, but it causes a lot of anxiety because what if no one says anything and they just end up miserable? IDK. I'm no one's judge and I have a really successful relationship based off trust and respect. Believe their actions, not their words. Also, future faking is a thing people do, which is so disappointing. If you don't actually want the same thing for the future, tell the other person. Don't waste their time. Seems like my guy is faking that he would marry me but is just waiting for the right things to happen, but he pretty much never takes relationship steps. Sound like a similar story? Don't waste your time on anyone that doesn't realize that they're lucky to be with you. Or waste time on anyone who outright says they are so lucky to be with you but then don't show it through their actions. Putting him before yourself does not make him love you more. It makes him start to lose respect for you, even if subconsciously. Do not get into a relationship with someone who did not get closure from their previous relationship. Absolutely true. Don't settle. Prioritize your own needs first. Compatibility is important, but so is being physically attracted to someone is still important. Stop trying to convince yourself just because someone is a nice person. People change and it's possible not to be compatible anymore. If something feels wrong, trust your gut feeling over any advice. We all have toxic traits too, and being aware and understanding our own toxic traits is important and helpful. Also, understanding your why you were attracted to these kinds of people in the first place is so helpful. It has a lot to do with how one was brought up in childhood. Oh man, the last thing you said hits hard. It took me sometimes to realize why guys I physically attracted to were some sorts of addicts, and I was like, why I am so unlucky. Why these men never wanted relationship with me. Until I realized that source in my childhood life. JFC was that a hard hit for me. 1. Take care of yourself first because they will make sure you put them first, but when you need to put yourself first, they won't help you. 2. First sign of toxicity, run for the hills. The first thing that happens to me always. Even in my current relationship. I always skip my work, studies, free time, and my friends to meet him, and I also worry about his problems more than myself while he is always about himself. He put time into his everything, and if he has some free time he allows me to go and visit him. They won't take your concerns seriously until you break up with them. And they usually know exactly what it is they need to change. They're just not willing to do it until you're packing your shit. Never let a man tell you twice that he doesn't want you. Common interest does not mean attraction. And yes, I had to learn that. It's frustrating. Why don't I like you? Don't give 100% of yourself to anyone. Let me clarify. Don't drop everything you are doing for your so every single time they ask. 9 times out of 10 they wouldn't do that for you. That you should leave when they're no longer somebody you'd be friends with had you just met that day. They aren't coming back. They're only going to get further away. And it'll hurt both of you the longer you stay. Wow. The moment I realized I don't want to be with my ex was when I told him, if this were our first date there wouldn't have been a second. To which he replied, good thing this isn't our first date then. Don't emotionally exhaust yourself for them. Don't spend all your energy trying to help them, fix their problems, make their lives better. I spent 5 years trying to pull a drowning person out of the water, and all that happened is I got dragged under. Nope, never again. I was the one drowning and he saved me. And now I don't want him anymore. Don't try to save or fix anyone unless it's your profession. They might be worth it or just leave you heartbroken. Trust your gut and don't ignore the red flags. All the little things in the back of my mind when we first got together ended up being the reasons we broke up in the end. People don't change and there's no point in trying to change them. If you aren't happy being with someone the way that they are, then just don't be with them at all. Smiling face with tear facts. Never fully entrust yourself to someone else. Just because you're in love does not mean you need to give them 100% access to everything. My secrets, money, weaknesses, etc. When chaos breaks loose, majority of people will choose themselves over others and will screw you over. Nasty breakups, divorces do exist, but nobody likes to think about that since that won't happen to me. Him and I are different. Be careful, y'all. I feel that one. Skeptical smiley face. Once they stop putting effort into you, it's never coming back. My last boyfriend was an angel in the beginning. We did a lot together and he acted like life just wasn't as fun without me. We'd get food, watch movies together, go shopping, and even run errands together because it was just more fun to be together. 4 months later, he barely wanted to see me. Claimed he was busy with work and school. It eventually went on for 3 weeks without us seeing each other when we lived 10 minutes apart and one text every day. I've never felt that lonely in my entire life. It's something I'll never do again. I'll never allow myself to feel that lonely. That happened here too. Once he felt comfortable, he changed into the person I didn't fall in love with. I wasn't expecting him to be as enthusiastic as the beginning of the relationship later on, of course, but it hurt when he just didn't really care about many things that he had before. Trust your gut instinct and never ignore the red flags. As women, we should always trust our gut instinct. I made that mistake. You cannot make someone happy all the time. You and your partner have to be happy in your own individual lives, and then that happiness is shared together. It doesn't necessarily comes from each other. Take responsibility for the majority of your happiness and enable him to do so. The amount of pressure it takes off of you feels extremely light. I do not mean that don't pamper each other or make efforts. Do all of it. But majority of your happiness shouldn't be dependent on each other. That's a lot of responsibility on the other person. That people-pleasing gets you nowhere fast. Be true to you, and if they leave, that tells you well enough. I suck at choosing guys. Same. If you need to ask for love, attention or affection, then they don't really love you. It's all about compatibility. Don't change into a person you're not, just to keep someone in your life. It's not worth it. That I can be very toxic. I mean, he was too. But it took making some new and very good friends to make me realize how much of a toxic mindset I was in and that I wanted to be a better person. Also, I'm allowed to be bothered by things. I can choose to react better, but I'm still allowed to be bothered. I can end a relationship for whatever reason I feel like, and he needs to accept this. Definitely. Relationship is a partnership. If you feel like you constantly have to walk on eggshells around them, they aren't for you.